Good morning. We're going to start shortly here. Okay, good morning. It's 9 o'clock. I'm so excited to be with you guys this morning. First thing, first, I want to tell you thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I know it's very valuable, so I really appreciate it. So, we're here to talk about practical mindfulness today. And just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm an attorney and an HR consultant here at Apex. And I basically have the sensibilities of a 92-year-old British man. I'm very practical. I do things that work. I like things that work for me. So hopefully we can find some tips and tricks that you'll enjoy as well. So what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about the mindfulness survey sample questions. So we're going to just check in with ourselves. We're going to talk about what is mindfulness and why we should do it. Is it just for Instagram, or can it actually reap beneficial rewards? And then we're going to discuss some practical exercises. So for me, it's important that I am able to use these exercises right in the middle of a crisis or a storm or homeschooling or a really bad Zoom call. I like to be able to do exercises that are tangible and I can do anywhere that without any equipment or extra items. So let's talk about the sample questions. And as I go through these, feel free to answer them. Answer them for yourselves. You're on mute. So let's do this. So have you ever just had a conversation with someone and have no recollection what was just said? Do you constantly discount your feelings? So an example of this would be my personal favorite, which is, it's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. So I could fall down, break my arm, and the first thing you're going to hear out of my mouth is, it's fine. It's fine. And then, are you aware of how your body reacts to strong emotions? So whether it's anxiety, fear, stress, anger, rage, are you aware of how your body inherently reacts to those? Which means, do you know how your breathing maybe increases or stops? What's going on with your posture? Do you curl up into a defensive mode position? Are you clenching your jaw? Right? And if you're not aware, then that means that maybe we have some opportunity to incorporate some mindfulness. If you have ever had a conversation with someone, you have no recollection of what was just said, you have some opportunity there. And then if you're constantly discounting your feelings, we definitely have some opportunity for mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? It's essentially living in the moment. So it's understanding how your body reacts to stress and what's around you. And essentially, by acknowledging what you're feeling, you're able to let those emotions flow through you. So it's okay. So if you fall down and you're embarrassed, instead of popping back up and going, it's fine, it's fine, it's okay to go, wow, I'm really embarrassed right now. And then work through that. So it's important to accept your feelings without thinking of them as right or wrong. And then that's how you start to change your inherent reactions to things or your patterns. So why are we doing this? It is essentially so you're able to control your emotions better over time. So it increases your attention span. So when in times of stress or anxiety, I know that I have a really big problem with attention span. It helps with blood pressure reduction. Um, so it helps control all of those emotions and what those emotions do to your body, because we know that stress, an inordinate amount of stress, can be very harmful. So how do we deal with that? Which is why I started to explore mindfulness, is because I needed to understand what was going on. So I'm going to tell you some stories. I'm going to give you some examples. When I took my first law school exam, I had never had a problem with testing. But I got my exam in my hands and I looked at it and I could not breathe. And my mouth went dry and I couldn't even read what was on the paper. So it took me about 30 to 40 minutes to calm down. When I was telling my mom this following the exam, she said, "Well, you had a panic attack." And I said, "I did not have a panic attack. I don't panic." She said, "Well, what happened?" I said, "I had tightness in my chest and I just couldn't breathe." And she was like, "And tell me what a panic attack is." And so after that, I realized how disconnected I was from my emotions. And frankly, on tests or real life situations, I don't have 30 or 40 minutes to calm down. So why was a big impetus for me to explore mindfulness. So practical exercises. What can we do when we're homeschooling? We're trying to teach the kids a new math. We've accidentally taught our dog that every time we're on a Zoom call, they get a treat. Otherwise, they cry until they go outside. And your day is just one big, I'm letting the dog in, I'm letting the dog out type of deal. So I like to check in with my body. I start at the top. And the first thing is, am I breathing? And a lot of times, myself and a lot of other folks, I'm told, will hold their breath during stress or anxiety. And we know that our brain needs oxygen, basic, right, to function at its best or to function at all. So check in. Are you breathing? Is your brow furrowed? And if it is, at this moment, go ahead and unfurrow it. And just how clenched is your jaw, right? So at this point, we can unclench our jaws once we acknowledge what's happening to our bodies. And are your shoulders up by your ears? I have a big problem with this. Whenever I get stressed, my shoulders immediately go to my ears. They go up, which causes me to hunch over, which causes neck and shoulder strain. So I'm breathing, I've unclenched my jaws. I try to push my shoulders back and put my shoulder blades into my back pockets. And with that, inherently, my defensive posture adjusts. And I'm sitting up straight, I'm not hunched over. And what am I doing with my hands? Normally, I'm clenching my hands, but I absolutely try to relax those. And then doing that exercise, walking from the top to the bottom, inherently gives me that brief moment that I need, the seconds before I have a big reaction or a reaction that I normally wouldn't have. The next thing I really enjoy is the 5-7-8 breathing. So you can Google this, absolutely. Some do 4-7-9. But essentially, this rewires your brain. So essentially, this is what gives you that opportunity to get oxygen into your lungs, into your brain, to be able to feed that organism. So you're going to breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds. You're going to hold your breath for 7 seconds. And then you're going to breathe out through your mouth for 8 seconds. And so while I have you, I thought that maybe we could just do this together. And I know that if folks that know me are cracking up on the line, because I will do this literally with everyone. I was at a fitness class. It was the instructor's first time. I led her through a 5-7-8 breathing exercise because this has been one of my lifelines. I use this on the bar exam. I use this whenever I'm stressed or I'm literally going to have a poor reaction to a Zoom meeting, which is usually throwing my hands up and saying I can't do technology and just, walking away from my job and my life. So this is where the 5-7-8 breathing can really help in those, whether they're homeschooling moments, whether they're trying to deal with the pets, etc. So let's just go ahead and do it. So we're going to breathe in through our nose for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out through your mouth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to repeat. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathing out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Holding. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you notice a difference in your body from when you first started to when you ended, something I noticed is that my muscles relax, my shoulders slide down and back, so I can get oxygen into my lungs, and I start to breathe again. And you can do this. The nice thing about this is you can do this anywhere. You can do this in the pantry as you're hiding from your children. You could do this when you look at your husband and think, how have I not noticed that you breathe this loud for the last 15 years? This is a portable and easily done exercise. And if you can repeat this 3 times, that's great. And this will literally, as you do these throughout the day, these will literally help rewire your brain to be able to deal with stress and anxiety. The next one is the Acquaintance test. So often people refer to this as the friend test. What would you tell a friend in the same situation? But I even take it a step farther and I say, okay, it's not even a friend, just an acquaintance that comes to me and says, I snapped at my husband because he started taking the dirty dishes out of the dishwasher. He didn't even ask me if they were clean or not. So what I would say to her is, these things happen. We're under a lot of stress in the environment right now, given the current circumstances. Don't beat yourself up. Go back and make it right. Feels like an easy thing to do, and we would all do that for an acquaintance. However, a lot of times we have a really hard time doing that for ourselves. You've made a mistake, we've had a bigger reaction than maybe what's appropriate, and you haven't done all the things. You haven't cleaned out your pantry during the pandemic. You haven't cleaned out your garage. You haven't repainted your living room. What exactly have you been doing for the last 2+ weeks? And sometimes those thoughts can get to us. However, that if I told you of you don't even have to know them, one of my acquaintances, she's upset because her kids are a day behind on their homework, in 3rd and 4th grade. And she's frustrated and she doesn't know what to do. She feels like she's a terrible mom. What would you say to her? You would, of course, say, you're not a teacher. Take a deep breath. You'll get through this. If a day behind is the worst thing that happens during all of this, you're doing very well. You'll catch up tomorrow. But those defeatist feelings, if you allow them to continue, they'll just multiply. And that's what you would tell her. But sometimes it's really hard to afford ourselves the same type of empathy, which is what we're discussing. Holding yourself to an impossible standard is not something you would ever do for an acquaintance or a friend or even a stranger. So I'm not sure why we internalize that and try to hold ourselves to an impossible standard. So it's important to remember how these things interact and how they build on top of each other. So let's talk about a brag board. I have a brag board. I find that I usually only do it in times of stress or anxiety. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, is her brag board, is it a white antiqued tin beautiful thing? No. My brag board is literally a dry erase marker and my bathroom mirror. And I put up on my brag board what I'm proud of that day. And it can literally be the most basic thing. So it can literally, the other day I put up, I called someone when I was feeling a little low to cheer them up, which inherently cheered me up. I reached out when I typically wouldn't want to. When I work out, when I exercise, when I move my body, up it goes. I also will put mantras up. So things that I say over and over to myself in times of stress. And so when I run, I say, longer and stronger, which I don't know if I'm being stronger post this, but it's one of those things that reminds me that if you keep pushing, you just keep being diligent, things will work out. Another one is you can and you will. But just phrases that inspire me. So those go up. So it's really the first thing I see in the morning is my brags from the day before. And I find it really helpful. But anything will work. So a piece of paper taped to the wall or just a piece of paper, I find to be helpful and to remind us that every day we have little things to be proud of. And we'll always have opportunities for improvement. However, being able to be proud of yourself on a daily basis is so important. And whether it's something tiny like you can tell new math is on my mind with children. Like we got through another new math lesson today without tears. That's a big deal. Whether I was patient with my dog or we worked on obedience or I cleaned the kitchen, whatever it is, some days and times like this, it's just important to recognize what we're doing right and to build upon that. So what I would invite you to do, we are a little early. I'm happy to open it up to questions and maybe we can share what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Is I would ask you what exercises that we've talked about are you going to do in the coming week? So whether that's a breathing exercise, whether that's a brag board, whether that's just the body check-ins, what exercises do you think could work for you? And how many times are you going to do those throughout the day or the week? I do find for myself, the body check-ins are very helpful because sometimes I really have a problem acknowledging what I'm feeling. And even if I can't acknowledge that I'm having a problem, when my body shows me I'm having a problem and is literally screaming like, we have a problem, I'm better able to accept that I'm having an issue, I'm having an emotion. How do I deal with the emotion to move forward? Does anybody have any suggestions as to what they're doing for mindfulness now? No. Okay. That's okay. Um, Let me give you back then 10 minutes of your day, and I really appreciate your time. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.